This is a stimulus update and daily news report. Got a lot of important news unfolding. Nancy Pelosi blames inflation on low unemployment, and she also talks about a few other issues. I'll play the video clip of exactly what she says. Bernie Sanders uses the Super Bowl to tweet saying that student loans need to be forgiven. I'll give you the latest of what's going on with lowering drug prices. We'll talk about the $350 checks, $500 checks, and $1,200 checks going out. Plus this article right here, homeowners in this state could get up to $35,000 in stimulus funds for mortgage assistance, and I'll give you some other important updates as well. Hope you're having a more than mundane Monday. If you appreciate the fact-based, fast-paced updates, hit the like button down below, and I'm giving $200 to my subscribers. I'll talk more about that later on in the video, but first, Bernie Sanders uses Super Bowl tweet to push Biden to cancel student loan debt. So basically, Bernie Sanders said this tweet right here: how does it happen that SoFi, a student loan refinancing company, could spend $625 million to put its name on the LA Rams football stadium when 45 million Americans are drowning in $1.5 trillion in student loan debt? Today would be a good day for the president to cancel student debt. President Biden, still no mention about canceling student debt. Also, regarding the Super Bowl, did you watch the game last night? What do you think of the Rams? Let me know down in the comments below. Also, Bernie Sanders calls on Democrats to bring up drug pricing bill in the Senate. So far, hasn't really gained much traction. Biden argues lowering prescription drug costs is key to easing everyday costs for American families. And 40 House Democrats push for swift action to lower drug prices, but still nothing is happening when it comes to lowering drug prices. So this is what one Democrat said here: we write today urging you to take legislative action as swiftly as possible to lower drug prices. For years, people have sent us to Washington on the promise that we end Big Pharma's monopoly control over prices and provide patients with much needed relief. We must make good on that promise, and we have the ability to do so. For years, it's been many, many years that they've been trying to lower the drug prices. Big Pharma has a huge hold on many of the senators that are probably even saying that drug prices should be lower, but they're still getting paid by pharmaceutical industries through lobbying and, I guess, legal bribes and contributing to their campaign funds, plus a few other ways. So it just hasn't happened yet. I think Big Pharma is way too powerful. Moving on, Pelosi blames inflation on low unemployment, says Manchin not right on Build Back Better criticism. So here is Nancy Pelosi in an interview that was just done, talking more about these issues.
Talk about the situation here at home. Families are feeling a hit from the highest inflation in 40 years right now, costing the average American family about $275 a month. What can Congress do right now to bring those costs down?
Well, let me just talk about the inflation thing, because people are saying, well, what we're spending is causing inflation. The fact that people have jobs always contributes to an increase in inflation, and that's a good thing. But inflation is not a good, we have to contain it.
Wages are not keeping up with prices.
That's right. And let me just say about what Congress has been doing. When we did the Competes Act last week, what contributes to inflation? More people having jobs, scarcity of product, which makes prices go up, and the rest. So when we passed the Competes Act last Friday, this was a giant step forward. Now we have to go to conference with the Senate, and we will shortly, and we'll send it to the president's desk. But what that does is address the supply chain shortages that we have, and therefore will decrease inflation. Secondly, it's important to note this about the BBB. The BBB is a deficit reduction bill. It's a bill that, and some people say, when you increase the national debt, you increase inflation. 17 Nobel laureates wrote that the way the BBB was written, with long-term investments and increasing the capacity of people to participate in our success, is non-inflationary. In addition to that, the Joint Tax Committee, which is the imprimatur on all these issues, the Joint Tax Committee says that BBB will reduce the national debt by $100 billion in the first 10 years and $1 trillion in the second 10 years. So what we are doing is, what are the three factors? More people going to work, that's a good thing. more product to lower the cost, the supply side of the supply, and more supply, lower cost, and then third, in terms of not increasing the national debt.
But as you know, Senator Manchin, who's the senator that matters right now because he's against it, disagrees. He says it's going to hurt inflation. Let's take a look.
This is not a time to be throwing more fuel on the fire. We have inflation, and we have basically an economy that's on fire. You don't throw more fuel on the fire that's already on fire, causing the problems that we have. So we've got to get our house in order.
Without his vote, this isn't going anywhere.
Well, the fact is that clearly he has. Look, Joe Manchin, as you said, is a senator who counts. Every senator counts, and we have legislation that is so transformative for our country. When you see what President Biden has done in this year, whether it's the rescue package that has put money in people's pockets, taken people off of poverty, vaccines in their arms and the rest, you know that.
Yes, but people aren't feeling it right now. They're upset.
No, I understand that. But there has to be a cumulative effect. And part of the consequences of all of that investment in the infrastructure bill and the rest is that more people have jobs, and therefore inflation goes up. When I first went to Congress, you were there working for Dick Gephardt.
And Dick Gephardt,
yeah,
yes.
Go way back. I went to my first meeting where the head of the Fed came in to talk about inflation and unemployment. That was a requirement that the chairman report to Congress on that. And the first thing Chairman Greenspan said was, unemployment is dangerously low. Well, if you're just measuring it by inflation. But the fact is that the rise in employment and President Biden, nearly 7 million jobs in his year in office. So yes, we have inflation. It's very important for us to address it. We must bring it down. But it's not right, with all the respect in the world for my friend Joe Manchin, it's not right to say that what we are doing is contributing to inflation, because it is exactly the opposite.
The other thing that's weighing on
17 Nobel laureates, the Joint Tax Committee.
The other thing that's weighing on people right now is rising crime. And there appear to be some divisions among Democrats about how to handle it. Your colleague, Karen Bass, running for mayor of Los Angeles, is trying to increase the police force in L.A. Cori Bush, Congresswoman from Missouri, is saying it's time to defund the police. She's sticking by that. You're the speaker. How do you think Democrats should address rising crime?
Well, with all the respect in the world for Cori Bush, that is not the position of the Democratic Party. Community safety, to protect and defend in every way, is our oath of office. And I have sympathy. We're all concerned about mistreatment of people, and that's why Karen Bass had the Justice in Policing Act, and we would hope to get some of that done, whether it's no-knock or chokehold or some of those issues, even if we can't get it all done. But make no mistake, community safety is our responsibility. And I quote one of my colleagues from New York, Richie Torres, a brand new member of Congress, way on the left, saying that defund the police is dead. That causes a concern with a few in our caucus. But public safety is our responsibility, and I support what Karen Bass is doing, and Mayor Adams of New York.
What are your thoughts on what Nancy Pelosi has to say? Do you agree, disagree? She brought up a few different topics there. Let me know your thoughts on what she said. So, some parents are skipping meals to feed their children after loss of child tax credit. So 3 in 4 parents who were polled said they were living with less financial security than they were when they had the child tax credit. So child tax credit was not renewed as of January, so they just never passed it because it was supposed to be in the Build Back Better. And it's saying that a lot of parents are skipping out on meals. So 75% of those polled who receive child tax credit payments say they have less financial security now that the payments have ended 37% of those said that they expect financial impact of the loss of the income to be major. So yeah, big hit to anybody receiving who was expecting to receive the child tax credit. Doesn't seem like it's happening anytime soon. Speaking of child tax credit, child tax credit 2022 update, surprise $1,200 may be coming as extra $1,000 cash boost available in 8 states. So when it comes to child tax credit, looks like lawmakers in Vermont approved a $50 million tax cut package that would send $1,200 per child to families with children aged 6 or under. So if you live in Vermont, have a kid 6 or under, you get a $1,200 check there in the form of a tax credit, kind of like a child tax credit, but just not monthly, just a one-time payment. Then in 8 states, they are offering $1,000 per child. So kind of like another child tax credit here, but it's a one-time payment in California, Colorado, Idaho, Illinois, Maine, Maryland, New York, and Oklahoma. So I know a lot of you thinking, if you don't have kids, how does this benefit you? What's going on with adults getting checks, and why aren't adults getting more adult tax credits or adult checks or things like that? I hear you, and yeah, it doesn't seem like adults are getting much credits or checks or as much as any families with kids. So when it comes to, I guess, sort of adults getting checks, here's who qualifies for Massachusetts' new $500 stimulus check. So Massachusetts giving out $500 checks as well. So income has to be at least $12,750 and must be above $38,280 for a single filer, and that's how you would get. And a family of 4 would get a $500 check there. Then in Minnesota, so Governor Tim Walz pitches for budget surplus includes $350 checks to Minnesotans. So this is going to be a $175 for a single, $350 check for a couple. And then here we have homeowners in this state could get up to $35,000 in stimulus funds for mortgage assistance. So many homeowners are still behind on housing payments due to the financial impact of the pandemic. Some New Jersey property owners could qualify for a large amount of relief, but there are rules and restrictions applicants need to know. So this is what's going on in New Jersey, where people who own homes, there's a few different stipulations, but you could get up to $35,000. So this is through the Emergency Rescue Mortgage Assistance Program, also known as IRMA. So yeah, if you live in New Jersey, you own a home, I would definitely look into this of how you could get up to $35,000 covered there. And tensions between Russia and Ukraine are building up, and it seems like the U.S. is sort of putting fuel on the flames there. So European U.S. leaders race to defuse Ukraine crisis amid warnings of imminent Russia attack. Here's the latest update of what's going on between the two countries, and it seems like it's getting a little serious. Take a look at this.
We begin tonight with the breaking news in the crisis in Ukraine and the intensifying threat of invasion. One U.S. official says Russian action could come at any time. After speaking with the president of Ukraine today, President Biden said the U.S. would respond swiftly and decisively if Russia attacks. An estimated 130,000 Russian troops are now on Ukraine's border. These forces are conducting live exercises with allies in Belarus. All this as additional U.S. troops, members of the 82nd Airborne, arrived today in Poland to support NATO allies in the region. And while Ukraine's airspace does remain open, the country is advising airlines to avoid flying over parts of the Black Sea region. ABC's senior foreign correspondent Ian Pannell's on the ground in Ukraine and leads us off tonight.
Tonight, with Russia performing massive military drills near Ukraine's borders, aviation officials in Ukraine warning airlines not to fly over part of the Black Sea where the Russian Navy's conducting war games. While Ukrainian commercial airspace remains open, Dutch airline KLM suspending flights into the country. Lufthansa considering the same. President Biden today speaking by phone with Ukrainian President Zelensky, making it clear the US and its allies will respond swiftly and decisively if Russia invades. Zelensky asking the US for even more military and financial support, even inviting Biden to visit the country. That call coming 24 hours after President Biden's high-stakes call with Vladimir Putin, warning a Russian attack would result in swift and severe costs. But despite the ongoing diplomacy, no apparent progress.
It's certainly not a sign that things are moving in the right direction.
There's been a full-on diplomatic blitz this weekend. French President Macron speaking with Putin Saturday, where he again denied Russian forces intend to invade, and German Chancellor Scholz heading to Kiev tomorrow and then Moscow. Despite Russia's staunch denial that they're planning to attack, US officials sticking to their dire warnings.
The way they have maneuvered things in place makes it a distinct possibility that there will be major military action very soon.
US officials saying in just the last 10 days, Russia accelerated the buildup of its forces, moving closer to Ukraine's border. Putin now has an estimated 130,000 troops amassed on 3 sides of the country, and the West believes it could launch an assault very rapidly.
It's likely to begin with a significant barrage of missiles and bomb attacks. It would then be followed by an onslaught of a ground force moving across the Ukrainian frontier.
The US tonight again repeating warnings that a fake attack could be used to launch an invasion.
No one should be surprised if Russia instigates a provocation or incident, which it then uses to justify military action it had planned all along.
Analysts say the US releasing intelligence on Putin's possible plans is part of a strategy.
They're trying to preempt any kind of fabricated excuse that Mr. Putin would have to invade Ukraine.
Life for most Ukrainians looks pretty normal on the streets. Families are out, people are going to restaurants and cafes and shopping. There is no sense of panic here, but people are certainly planning and preparing in case the worst happens. But despite the feeling on the ground, the State Department taking no chances, ordering all US citizens to get out of Kiev while they still can. Canada closing its embassy in Kiev and Australia today, joining dozens of nations urging citizens to leave.
The State Department concerned they may not be able to evacuate Americans in the event of military action. Ian Pannell joins us now from Ukraine tonight. And Ian, what more are you learning about that crucial call between President Biden and the president of Ukraine?
Yeah, interesting. I mean, Vladimir Zelensky thanked Joe Biden for his support, but he also invited him to visit Ukraine, saying that he's convinced that if he arrived in Kiev in the coming days, it would be crucial to help stabilize the situation, send a powerful signal, and also help towards de-escalation. I think it's highly unlikely to happen, but it shows you the mood in the Ukrainian presidential palace tonight.
What are your thoughts on this whole Russia-Ukraine thing? Something seems a little fishy. Things aren't matching up because you have the Ukrainian president saying it's no big deal. You have the Russian president saying it's not going to happen. But then you have the US and Europe sort of, I guess, hyping it up more than it is. I don't know what to think. It sort of seems like a distraction since nothing has happened yet. And it seems like there's just a lot of threats and a lot of sensational news around this. But what are your thoughts on that? Let me know down in the comments below. And that is all the news that I have for you today to hopefully brighten your day a bit. Here's my daughter Bella's tip of the day.
Hi guys. Hi guys, this is Belle. This is the tip of the day. I want to tell you something. If you can't find a way to do something, then do something that you really want to do that you haven't done. Hi guys. At least if you can't make the first one happen. So that's all I wanted to say. Say bye. Bye.
Thank you so much for watching. As mentioned before, I'm giving out $200 checks to my subscribers. So in tomorrow's video, I'm going to lay out all the rules, let you know what's going on. So if you're interested in getting a $200 check, first thing, you have to be subscribed to the channel, and I'll give you the other details in tomorrow's video. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, that's it for today. If you want to check out my latest videos on my other channels, you could click up here, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, be safe. Thank you for watching.